opportunity once again to welcome you to this YouTube live. I am Bro Mikhail, and inspired by the Sunday that we are about to celebrate, the Vocation Sunday, we are going to continue sharing in the part 2 of my vocation journey. Yesterday, I was sharing with you about who inspired me and how the inspiration continued changing step by step. The first people who inspired me were so much the vestments and the priests who used to celebrate Mass, the priests, the seminarians, and the manservants. And the second person that now made it even more as an inspiration and as a call were the sisters who happened to be so good to me and so good to us when we were children. And that is why I told you that the first thing that I wanted to become was to become a sister. But due to the fact that gender could not allow me as a man to become a sister, I was told that a man can never be a sister. And that is why I decided to change my mind. After being inspired by Bishop Colin Davis, and after the experience, a short experience with Bishop Colin Davis, after seeing the good work that he was doing, after seeing how good and how well he related with the people, and after seeing how he lived his life so simple, I decided that's the minister of the plant is fearlessly playing that is just passing and is producing a lot of noise. Art is gone. So, after experiencing the simplicity, the love, and the service of this bishop, I decided that I will opt to become a bishop. And I changed now from becoming a sister to becoming a bishop. And this is what was now in my heart. And that is why we stopped yesterday, where we were looking at the good life that the bishop lived that inspired me to join this life. And this bishop greatly inspired me. But at the time that I was knowing him, there was a second person who was coming into the screen or into the action act. And these were my grandparents. You see, in most cases, the parents could be so strict. But the place where one could easily run to, or the place where I could easily run to for refuge, or at least to have some good life where there is no strictness, there is no punishment, there's always good things, is to run to my grandparents. And this made me shift even my playing ground. Because sometimes our parents were so hard on us, seeing us playing by the roadside, counting and owning these imaginary vehicles, they decided that no more playing by the roadside. And we therefore, me and my friend and one of my cousins, we decided that we shall be playing at my grandparents' place. And therefore, we decided that from today henceforth we'll be praying there. But there's something that really affected us also when we were playing at my grandparents' place, is that we could get anything that we needed, but there was a time limit in my grandfather's place. My grandfather used to start his prayers, his evening prayers, as from 5. And sometimes that is the time when playing, it was like a climax when playing was becoming so sweeter. So when it reached this time, when he started these prayers, it meant that no one was allowed to make noise in the compound, no one was allowed to play, everyone was to be quiet till when he finished his prayers. And he used to pray the entire rosary. It means that we had to wait for about either 15 or 20 minutes. And not just praying it, but he used to chant. When it is chanted, it takes even more time. So he could chant from the beginning to the end. And this really motivated me even more. I said, why would my grandfather value so much prayers? And it is not something that he did only one day, but he was doing it daily. Every day in the evening, we could see him sit down and to pray. And this made me know and this made me believe that it is prayer that was always steering his life on to the next level day by day. It is prayers that was keeping his family intact. It was prayers that was making him to manage his family as a parent. And so I was so much interested in that instead of just sitting down somewhere silent, playing, or just hide somewhere to keep quiet so that we could wait for him to finish his prayers, I decided to be joining him. And this was the first place that I loved reciting the rosary. because he could chant it so well without any hurry, so nicely. And I said, yeah, this is something that is so good. This is something that is so nice. And I started enjoying so much reciting the rosary. And at home, also, we had time. No, the goodness of reciting, praying the rosary with the grandfather was that after praying the rosary, we could have supper together. And supper at the grandparents' place was always at 6 p.m. It means by 6, we were eating supper. Then eating at the grandparents' place, we could now move and go back home. And home, supper is at 9, around 9. So it means that after eating supper at 6, we could go home and rest a bit and have the second supper, which was some advantage to us as children and advantage to me. Like, I eat at the grandmother's place, then I go and eat at home. And what was so special about eating at the grandmother's place is also that she used to cook so nice vegetables. So I could sometimes join these prayers because I knew that after joining the prayers, it will be a ticket to eating. So we have a nice supper with grandfather. And whenever we ate with the grandfather, he used not to finish his food. If it's a grandchild who was around, who was to be added, can you eat well? Eat well. Eat well. I'll take you home, or I'll call someone to come and pick you from here, or someone will escort you. So you to eat and get full with this nice vegetable traditionally prepared, milk put inside. Like the grandmothers, they knew how to make this vegetable so nice. And so when I reached home like somebody who has not tasted anything. You see, like a young child reaching home as a ninja. Very dirty from playing and doing all sorts of things. And now I arrive home. And when I arrive home, I will find when they are cooking, yes, but I will be forced to shower is when I will eat. And I will pretend that maybe I'm so much hungry and I have to be washed. And this was also something that was so terrible because who is to wash me will determine the joy or the sorrows that I would face that day. And for example, there's one of my sisters who I will not mention. One of my sisters, whenever it was her turn to wash me, it was terrible because she could wash me while beating me, slapping me, doing all sorts of things because it was like it is another burden. It is an added responsibility on top of whatever she had done all through the day. So there was one that I loved because when she washed me, she could pamper me so well, wash me so cool, and I loved it. But that went on. So at home, after that washing, we could eat, and after eating, there was prayers. But the one for home was not so much favorable because as a young child, I could feel so much sleepy, and it would I would find myself sleeping in the process of praying. But what was good is that I had already prayed with the grandfather. We had already chanted the rosary together and even some prayers of the church. So my grandfather was one of the people who really made me rooted in the love for the rosary and festivals. And my grandfather also was so good in this that whenever I came home to the grandparents' place, my grandmother sometimes would call me, "You are my husband." Because when my husband dies, you are the one who will inherit me. So sometimes she could call me husband, but I felt so bad because I didn't want to be a husband. I wanted to be a bishop. So anytime she could tell me, "My husband, come," I would say, "No, I'm not your husband. I'm a bishop. So call me bishop or call me father." And from there, we used to have one of the songs that they used to sing for the missionaries when the missionaries arrived in the place to welcome the missionaries for mass. So anytime when she saw me come to sing it in memory also of my grandmom, who I husband, and she could sing it this way. Jaduong' Father Dichefa, Jaduong' Father Sichefa, opero mako pinywa duto nyaka suna. Katidhiyo disi, baba nyalo konya e kom duong' bura. E Father Dichefa, opero mako piny. Like Father Skefa was one of the pioneer missionaries who came to this place, and this song was like a praise to him, telling Father Skefa that Father Skefa, because of your coming, Catholicity has covered the whole of this land. It has covered the whole area. And it means that if it has covered this area, we can get help from the Catholic Church. And even when we sit at the seat of judgment, we know that the Lord will always be by our side because the true church is already with us and we're already worshiping in that true church. So we are safe. So I said, wow, this is so nice. So my grandmother shifted from calling me my husband to calling me Father Skefa. The name they were calling me the priest, the missionary priest. And the missionary priest who was serving in this place was called Father Skefa Odero. They had given him a local name of the place because he lived with them, he learned their language, and was doing almost everything according to the way these people did. The only thing that he was doing that was more unique was that he was preaching the word of God and he was a pastor to my people. So any day I went to my grandmother's place, she could sing me this song that they used to sing for those missionaries, and I could feel so much nice. I could say yes. Now I am like a priest. I'm not just a priest, I'm like a bishop. And this vocation was being nurtured. And after my grandmother welcomed me with this song, the next person to welcome me was a grandfather who will go and pray together. And something that I would like to add for today is that during these days, most of the games that we used to play at home, I used to play the role of a priest. You see, some children will play the game of maybe the parents. One will say, I'm the father and the mother and the children. But for me, anytime they used to play that game, I was out of it. I would love that we play the game of the church. I will be the priest and you will be the Christians. And we'll try imagining being a true priest, trying to lift some other, our self-created vessels, trying to lift some bread and trying to chant the prayers the way the priest used to chant them. And most of the times I used even to try to lead in the services, in the mockery services. And this went on that I learned so much even prayers in the family. And most of the time I was still struggling to know this prayer so well, but I could struggle with my parents so that I could be one to lead in the prayers in the family in that day. And this went on with time, and I think these were some of the things that were really motivating me even more towards my desire or my decision to follow Christ and to serve Him as His minister. So thank you so much for joining and for being part of this live. The story continues tomorrow about my vocations journey, how it all began, inspired by the Vocation Sunday that we are about to celebrate. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you had a precious moment listening to me and listening to my vocation story. I promise that we shall continue from where we have left today. And I would just like to ask those who are viewing this live, was the audio audible enough? Like, were you getting my voice so well? Or I need to work on something? Just those who are in the live, would just please type something. If the audio, if you're getting me so well, or if I needed to add something on it. And also, I would just like to also tell you that I'm so happy that you have been joining me throughout these live sessions. And I promise that we will continue journeying together, sharing our stories, sharing our faith, and journeying together towards moving and building and establishing God's kingdom here. So thank you so much. And in case you have any query, in case you have any question, in case you have any suggestions, always feel free to put that on the comment section, and I will be more than ready to share with you and to journey with you in this. Anyone who is listening to me, if you're listening to me, would just comment and say where you're watching me from before we end the live. Like, we have 2 minutes to end this live. So where are you watching me from? So that I could just know if the audio was all right. Anyone who is on the live, where are you watching this live from? And are you getting these stories? Is it inspiring you? Is there anything that you would wish that we could add in this life to make it more fruitful, to make it more faith based, and to make it more inspiring? And as I conclude, I would like to tell you that I am so proud to be a Catholic. There's nothing that makes me more happy than being a Catholic. I'm a proud Catholic, but I think even if I was to be born again today, I would still opt to be a Catholic. And if even if I was to die and resurrect, I will still remain to be a Catholic. I am Catholic, I am alive. I am Catholic, I am proud. Thank you so much for joining the live. See you again in the next live as we continue sharing our vocation story. I wish you all the best. Be blessed.